remind us what we ended talking about yesterday. 2 words. I nickname it the attitude adjuster.
Absolute value.
Okay, so hold up. So all because your hand is going up doesn't mean just shout it. But so moving here, drop knowledge on us. What do we learn about? What is it? How do we use it? Moving deer. Your name is Naya.
Absolute value is when it is a number, or it can turn a number that is less than 0 into positive or like.
What is it actually asking us for? We wrote it down. We can call it attitude adjuster. We can say makes things positive.
Oh, how far it is from 0.
So it's actually asking about distance from 0. Right? So let's we're gonna skip 46. Let's go on to 47. So work with your groups right now to try to get done 47 and 48. Bless you. Toolkit. Notes should go in toolkit. So until you run out of space in toolkit. Have you taken notes beside the math notes boxes as well as in the blank pages? Where's my toolkit? I'm trying to show you. Alright, I'm going to use Kimberly's toolkit for a minute. Yo! Chapter 2. Hey, give me your attention for a second. Chapter 2 note space in your toolkit starts on page 12. You can also take notes right beside these math notes boxes all the way up until it switches to chapter 3. So all these pages up until 22 are for chapter 2 notes. All those pages. No. Pick 3 from the last section. So I clarified this yesterday. This is going to get you if you're not listening. It's pick 3 just on that section. So will the color coding help a little bit? Okay, then great. You benefited from it. So there are 6 problems there. You may pick 3. Yeah, 3, pick 3. Well, actually, there's 4. 52, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4, 4, 3. I just didn't want it to be a ton of problems. You're working on 47, 48. If I draw a diagram, you can just draw a thermometer.
I like the shirt,
Thank you. This bow tie is from Italy. I got to shout out my amazing coworkers, Mrs. Cullinan and Miss Pettigrew, all those guys that were on the international trip this past year. Bought me the bow tie, pocket square, and even cufflinks that all match and have little bicycles on them because I like to ride my bike. Yeah, it's way too hot to wear cufflinks. But shout out to amazing coworkers. If you don't know, cufflinks go where the button of your cuff goes. If it's a fancy shirt, you'll be able to shove something through both sides, and your button will match your tie. So that's the point of cufflinks. Yeah, or you can mismatch. So for 47, you should already have this, but we're working with degrees. Draw yourself a little thermometer. However, 0 needs to not be the bottom because temperatures go below 0, especially if we're working in Celsius because 0 is only freezing. We're below freezing a lot, but we're working in Fahrenheit right now. Hopefully, at least. Because otherwise, that's a giant temperature fluctuation. Yours will say whatever you told it to say. You should be working. Alright, time to put these cards to use. Ian, what's the first thing that happens in our temperature changes today? Or like what goes on first? You guys have had a couple minutes to work. Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. You're the group that I was trying to give a second chance to, guys. What are we doing over there? You just
I was giving Will some notes from yesterday.
Okay, well, now's not the appropriate time to do that.
Yeah, I was trying to read it, but because time was low, I was stopped.
So what happens first? Sally's in North Dakota. Starts out real cold. The temperature then changes.
15 degrees.
15 degrees
And
up. Right? If it went down, that'd be bad. So we go up by 15. Where do we land when we do that? At a positive 5. Sorry, I was missing my degree symbols. Then it dropped 15 degrees as night fell. This happens a lot in the winter.
Isn't there no 0 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah, there is. It's just lower than freezing. So freezing's at 32. If we're going to get real semantical, there's always a 0. But freezing is 32. If you go below freezing, you get to 0. If you go even colder, you get below that. We've had plenty of below 0 days.
Yeah, I just thought for some reason there was like no actual 0.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's there. So if I then drop 15 degrees, Bouvendier, where do I land?
Oh, -10.
I land right back where I started. Often in the winter, day starts, warms up, day ends, cools down, just as cold as it was when we started. We would call these values what? When two things can add together and result in no change. Like it did change, but then it changed back, so at the end you had no change. We wrote this down, we talked about it. 2 words. What is it, Oliver? Wait, no. It's not wait, no. Alright, we're going to write it down again then. These, let's see who remembers it. Additive inverses.
I got that.
They're additive inverses. Alright, work on 248 if you have yet to. If you finish 248, please move on to question 56. I want you to solve these as easily as possible. I want you to solve these as easily as possible.
talk about it. You just did. I'm just saying, you kind of left out the game. No, I mean, I said plus 6 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
You started paying attention.
No, I said plus 3, 13. Equals 300 plus.
Alex, what do we do in A to make it easy to solve? Do you guys listen when I say a name? Like, when I start a sentence with a name, that means you don't need to raise your hand.
I get excited.
Yeah, sorry, we'll go this, and we'll go Alex Koenig on the other one, sorry. So, male Alex, we really need to get some nicknames going on. We have a lot of Alexes in this class. We have Alex too.
Just Alex. It's not Alex, it's just Alex.
Nah, it's not a good name. But Alex, go ahead.
So what you can to make this easier, just take the negative 582.6 and do that with the positive 583.6. Then you just get 0. And since it's 0, then you only have one number left.
And remember, hear somebody say, why don't you pick on someone your own size?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the good guy, bad guy, you find somebody his own size, right? And when you pick on somebody your own size, you both end up passed out in the alley. Don't fight with people. But yeah, look, so if we think about that analogy, the good guy and the bad guy were exactly equally matched. The fight ends in a neutral. But then in B, not as easy. So, actually, we'll go Alex Koenig then. Have you guys gotten to B yet? What did you guys do in B to think about this? If I want to look at this alone, I know what you guys are saying. I'm gonna reinterpret this. I know this is 300 plus 13 and 6/11ths. I can break that up in my head. I can also write it out if I really want to. Then these are equally matched, and we end up with 13 and 6/11ths, which would be an awkward fraction. You guys need a little bit more time for C?
Yeah.
Okay, take another minute for C. If you're done with this, move on to 56. If you're done with this, move on to 56. No, 56. Ah, 7-5, much easier to work with. Annie!
Yes?
What'd your group do on C?
Okay, so this may be wrong, but I took off.
Yeah!
I took off the 12, so it was just 200.
So now I took off. I'm going to rephrase what you said. You broke up, right? So you looked at it as 212, which the and then really means a decimal point when it's technical. But yeah, okay.
And then I subtracted 150 and then 0.75.
Did you do it all at once?
Well, I did minus 150 and then took 50 and then.
Yeah, I'd break up the bad guy too. I'd make this 150 and then a 0.75. Because if we're trying to make our life easy, decimals make it a bit more complicated. Can I do 200 and a negative 150 easily?
Yeah.
What do you get? 150. And then, can I do 12 and an evil 75? Because I wrote this wrong, really. I should either have that saying plus another negative, or I should have put the negative out in front of this. So these are both evil guys, right? They're both evil quantities. So what's 12 with an evil 0.75 fighting with it? Does the good or the bad win? We're doing this right now. The good wins, right? So I get 11.25, and I end up with... No, thank you. Where?
Yeah, because
You messed
when
up
you
because you wrote
subtract.
down the 150.
Thank you. Sometimes I write the wrong thing on purpose. Please be very careful. When you're doing lots of things quickly, you can easily make a mistake. 200 minus 150 is not 150.
It's 60.
And it's only 50. I was waiting to see when somebody would actually stop me. So that one was intentional to make a point. That one was intentional to make a point. I'm human. What's up? I really am not a robot. I checked the box that says I'm not a robot. It proves I'm not. If I make a mistake, please point it out as quickly as possible so we don't all get confused. That one was intentional because I thought a lot of us would potentially catch it. But I do make mistakes, and I do not want that to get us confused. So please, as I do that stuff, point it out. This ends up being 61.25. And the good guys win.
And there's 61.25.
Alright, moving on to 56. Take some time to look at problem 56.
No,
Yeah, I have it right up here. I can't get them out before you guys because that's 7.
I just wrote down the question.
And you get that. Don't look at the handout in there and do not lose it.
I wanted to catch it like literally.
Hey, give me your attention for a second.
And couldn't do it with the other.
Red is bad. Red's negative. The other colors are different to tell you they're different tiles. Red is negative. So all the tiles have red side and then another colored side. Okay? So play with those. 256. So you do not get to choose how you flip the tiles. You just let them set down on the table. Read the directions. Read the directions.
I feel like I'm playing like poker, like pick up the dice, you know. Gotta get lucky. Roll.
Can't flip them. It's just however they land. Yeah, hold up, especially because I see stuff on the floor. Check around you, start to get them back in the bag. We're not spending long in this activity. We're in an accelerated class. Gotta keep rolling. Now, what you may or may not have realized, and we're going to start working with these tiles this year. Those algebra tiles, I don't need the dots there. Those algebra tiles have a variety of values. They have ones, positive or negative, depending on the side. They have x's, they have y's, they have x squared, they have y squared. They have all of these values. So hey, just put them back in the bag. Stop with the tiles. They're going everywhere. People are being a little goofy with them. We can get the idea of the question without really continuing to do this. So we don't have enough time to play with these. Put them back in the bag, please. So I've already asked this 3 times. We are going to work with these tiles all through the year. These tiles, and I hope we're listening as we're playing with them, represent area. So, bless you, the edge lengths provide you with the area. The single most tile, the small square, is a 1, because it's a 1 by 1. Then there is a 1 by some length. It's not countable. Don't try, it doesn't work. It's an X. Or there's another one. It's a Y. Then we have bigger squares. We have an X squared and a Y squared. Those are the different values in there. All of them could be positive or negative. So here's a really difficult thing. If you were to try to figure out who actually has more, you'd have to take areas and start combining them. And we'd have to figure out what is X and what is Y and do some approximations like that. But here's the real question. If you took a bigger handful of tiles, so you just had to have the idea of grabbing a handful of tiles, would you have a better chance of being more positive or more negative? If you took a handful of tiles.
It would be the same.
It would be the same.
Justify. What do you mean?
Well, it's just two different sides, so it's constantly a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, you still don't know when you drop them out. Will they end positive or negative? And you still have that chance either way. You don't know. There's no way to predict whether it will come up positive or negative. Well,
I just have a question. Because you said red was negative, but most of mine there was red and there was purple.
yeah, so red is negative. The other color means positive.
Oh, okay.
So they change colors depending on the tiles. So the 1 tiles have a certain positive color. The X tiles have a certain positive color. So they're the same. But all the negatives are red.
Oh.
Okay? No, you didn't. You cheated.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
All right, move on to 58. Now, I know Mike's a cheater.
Naya's a liar.
Hey, Mr. Hudson, is that pocket square silk?
Is what?
Like from the light, it shines kind of like silk.
I said they went in a silk shop. Maybe I said that in the other class, but yeah.
Yeah, you didn't say a silk shop. You just said they got.
Yeah, it's silk. I've never worn a pocket spring, literally ever. I've never had one. Okay, 58. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to write out these expressions visually, geometrically. So we're going to take the algebraic and make it geometric. So label that we're on 258. I'm going to help you with one of them and then release you guys for the rest of them. So A is -8, +2. So -8 plus 2. We always want to think about addition. I like to put all negative values in parentheses. You don't have to, but it just helps you keep it kind of specific in your brain. To write this, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 positives. What we've been doing this entire time is finding the additive inverses, grouping them, and seeing what's left over. Group, group. What's left? 6 positives.
What?
6 negatives.
Sorry, 6 negatives. Thank you.
Was that a purposeful mistake?
No, that was not.
Or was it?
And we get -6. So do that with B, C, and D. B, C, and D, please.
Where is that?
Oh, yeah, well, at least B, C, D. You can move on beyond those if you want. Sorry guys, I'm gonna cheat.
Yeah, because you took notes. I took notes in my book.
I just explained the direction.
Yes.
We are creating a visual representation of the statement and then writing out the answer based off grouping additive inverses together. So in B, cards, right? Tyler, in B, what are additive inverses?
Additive inverses.
Like what can cancel out in B?
Nothing, because they're all negative.
Nothing. There are no inverses because they're all negatives. So I'd have my 5 negatives, my 3 negatives, And I just have 8 negatives. In C, Izzy, what cancels out in C becomes additive inverses? So these two positives with those two negatives, what do we end up with? -2. Her name's Izzy? Is your name Izzy too? You're not May anymore? You're Izzy? We did that to a friend of ours this weekend, actually. We told her that all of our names were Ian. Because she forgot somebody's name. And there were like 3 Ians there. Alana, what about D? What can cancel out in D? They're both negatives. So none of them cancel. What do we end up with as our answer? And we get -14. What about in E? Can we all see how much would cancel out in E? All 3 of them, leaving us with 1 negative. And we do not need to continue doing these. I think we get the idea. Move on to 59. We're going to move on to 59. I think you can. I believe in you. I'm going to give you like 60 seconds to talk about this as a group, and then I'm going to take an answer. Well, I guess not shush, but quit talking about the time. Talk about the math.
Kind of some of these.
No, it wouldn't be. This is the sum of 200.
I asked about 5 times.
I know it would. But when you add when you multiply negative by negative, you always get plus. Just add the negative at the end.
Will,
Yeah?
what do we do to think this through without using a calculator?
Alright, so what we did is that we didn't overcomplicate things, but I thought my mind would just take out the negative for a second and then do 200 minus 14, which equals 186.
So you kind of switched around. You said, what's the difference between them?
The difference between
That's what you figured out, right?
yeah, we figured out the difference between them.
So you said 186.
And then add the negative.
And then you had to bring back the negative because you knew the bad guy was more powerful.
Because we didn't want to overcomplicate things,
Yeah.
so we just
I love it.
did it.
Anybody have a different way that you thought this through? He just kind of turned it into subtraction and then changed the sign back?
I did it almost the same, but since I can never remember if you're adding positive and negative,
Yeah.
I always just do the good guy, bad guy check.
Okay.
So I just did negative 200 minus, minus 14.
Yeah, is there more power on the good side or the bad side?
Bad.
The other way that we could do this, take your bad guy, Decepticon, whatever, break him up into a bad 14 to take on the good 14, and then whatever bad is left over, which is another 186, a lot of bad left over. Still, your good guy stays how he is. These guys take on each other to wipe each other out, and we end up with negative 186 left, taking over the world. Not a good day for the guys. All right, move on to 260, please.
We're doing 2-60.
I'm sorry I left you behind. I'm done. Tyler, we're moving on to the next one. Negative 100 plus. You gotta switch this around. I know. C is, I switched it around, so. It's like this. C is this. So it's 235 minus.
This is 101.
No, that's not 101.
Ava, in A, can you describe the situation however you want to, and then tell me your answer, like how you arrived at your answer?
Okay, well, what I just did was just like, same as Wales, like, I just subtracted it.
Okay.
Really, and I get 150, like negative, not 150, that's adding, negative 86.
So we did the subtraction, found out the difference in their like values was 50, and then you knew
I figured it out.
why.
Because, like, it's not bigger than 100.
Because from the beginning we see there's more negative. It's 50. Sorry, you said 150 and it got stuck in my head. Because we saw the bad guy was more powerful, we know the bad guys win. Right? So we can. It sounds really simple, but while we're learning, it's really helpful. Naya, what about B?
So I did change the brackets for
Yeah, so I can think. Okay, so this 1/4 is really 2/8. Since they're both. So I want you guys to start thinking about something. Are we fighting or are we merging?
Merging.
So fighting would happen between good and evil, right? Merging will happen if good meets up with good or bad meets up with bad. So here we're merging the bad guys together. We make a bigger bad guy, and what do we make? Negative 90 and 7/8. Please be careful that you remember to say the negative with that. I'm going to change colors as to not get confused here. Now we have decimal values. Zach, can you tell me what's going on here and what we get as our answer? Are we fighting or merging? We're merging, right? Two bad guys. What do we get?
So what I did was I split apart the decimals
Nice.
from the whole numbers.
Did you do those first or second?
I did this first.
Nice. I like it because decimal is going to be a little bit harder. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So I know my answer is negative, but now I'm going to put my pieces in here. So the 6300ths and 5900ths gave you what?
It gives you
1.22. And then your whole values gave you
and then your whole values gave you
55.
So it's 56.
It's a little reworking of the bad guys, and we get 56.22, right? Izzy? Negative! This is where people make their mistake, and that's why I yell sometimes. When people are doing a lot of stuff, especially when we're like breaking things up, putting them back together, they will forget to put their negative back on their final answer. Please be careful with that. If it's not on your final answer, it's not right. So even if you had it out here in your work stages, you gotta have it on that final answer. So be cautious, double check your work. On D, totally going cards, guys, sorry. Mina, how do we do D? Or what's going on?
Okay, so I would put the two negatives together. And
Okay.
add the two positives together.
So I'm gonna put good guy with good guy and bad guy with bad guy. So good guy with good guy, how much good power is here?
75, 175. Okay, I'm sorry, I just completely
You're good.
my math
So 160 plus 70. So break apart the 75. What does 160 need to get to the next 100? 40. So take 40 of these. How much do I have left over? 35. That's how much good. Then our evil plus the evil. What? Anybody? 59. Who's going to win, my good or evil? Good's going to win by how much?
0.
Again, break it apart if you want.
Wait,
It's not going to be 171.
No, 176. 176.
There's a lot of disagreement.
It's 176.
Put your hands on, stop yelling stuff. Put your hands on, stop yelling stuff. Here's what's up. Your 235 and your 59 are kind of weird numbers, right? 235, I see an easy way to break it up. 235, right? That's the most simple way. My evil 59, I'm going to break up to match what's going on. So I'm going to break it up into an evil 35 to make my life easy. And then, sorry, this whole thing's evil, so there's a negative out in front of it. And then there's also, well, 20 more would take me to 55, 24 more. Please go ahead and write this down. Take a second, I'll wait for you. That breaking up is actually really beneficial. Make them grab a post-it, I don't know. You got more paper, I guarantee. I see lots of it. Breaking up is hard to do. Oh, sorry, we're breaking up. I was in choirs for many, many years, so I have like a repertoire of like lots and lots of songs relating to any situation. Yeah.
I was just having our group found an easier way of doing this. Probably.
Hold on, let me go down this path and then we can take that one. So now on my path, I'm gonna use green for a second. These guys fight each other, make 0 because we know they're additive inverses. All right, Ava, quit messing with Alana. I was sitting there like, how is Alana not bugged? So now, good, evil. Who's going to win? Good. So what's 200 minus 24? 176. Please. Because you're going to be asked to do math without calculators. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Tests on the way. You're going to be asked to do math without calculators. You ever somebody when they're telling you something important, they're like hitting you on the, I'm telling you something important. So, get used to the ways to make it easy. Break the numbers apart to make them be additive inverses. Okay. How'd you do it?
What I saw when I first looked at the numbers was I saw that 160 minus 30 would be easily just 130. And then I see the 29 what was 130, which got 101. And then all you have to do is add in 75, and you get 176. And since there were larger amounts of positive, and you already used up all your negatives,
So Piper took the fight in the middle first. If you ever played Mortal Kombat 4 people, sometimes people are just off on the edges and they're not doing anything. So these guys are off on the edges, not doing anything. This fight ends in a positive 130. Then, sorry, what was the next merging you did? So then the bad guy's like, well, crap, the other bad guy got taken out. Let me jump in. So now we look at this fight, good versus evil. Subtract 29 from 30. We get 101. And this good guy's like, well, I'm glad I skipped this fight because now I can merge up with you and make 176. Many different ways to get to Florida. We can all... Have I not talked about that yet?
You have.
Oh, we all just kind of gave Naya something.
You
So, if we're going to Disney, there's not just one way to get there, right? But there is one right destination, right? Like if I say, hey, meet me at Epcot, You might fly there, I might drive there, somebody might take a scooter. But if we all get to Epcot, you get the analogy. There's a lot of right ways to get to Florida. A lot of different ways to solve the math problem. Yeah.
Alright, so me, I did it like nearly the same as Piper, but what I did to make it like easier is 29 for like me when things are that close. It like I always somehow mess it up, so I just rounded 29 to 30, and then
You knew you were going to take that route.
60 minus 60 plus 1, 101 plus 75, 176.
So if we do this fight, who wins, good or evil? By how much?
45.
I started writing way too soon. If we do this fight, who wins?
Good.
Good. And Will said, well, this evil guy's almost a negative 30. He's almost a 30 evil. If he was, this would be 130. And since he's not, 131. And then we get one set. Another way to get to Florida. We don't really have it.
Yeah, we need to pack up. Goodbye.
So here's what's up. Hold on. Hey, I'll wait, but I didn't say pack up. I didn't say we're done. I technically have a minute.
Oh, minute.
So, reminder. I'm not here on Thursday.
Wait, what?
I'm at a CPM math training, like continual follow-up training meetings, making sure I'm not, like, failing. Okay. So, we have Mr. Mendrink, who was your sub over in Language Arts. He's my sub on Thursday. He's student taught here last year. He's a great guy. He knows Phoenix. He likes our program. On Thursday, we're probably going to have a checkpoint quiz. I do not like pop quizzes. So, here's me telling you, expect a short, not like the whole period, but like 3 to 5 questions. Expect a small quiz on Thursday as part of what I leave for you guys to do with Mr. Mendrink. We then don't have class on Friday because we have a cookout and we have a modified schedule. So, bless you. Realize we're halfway through our academic week already. So please, do that homework. Today's assignment is the same as yesterday. Make sure you're caught up. I will likely, again, I don't want to surprise you. Generally, you should be paying attention. I will likely collect your math journals with the quiz on Thursday. I might just have you guys do the quiz in your math journal. Because that'd be really easy, right? Then I can just grade it there. So, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Expect a quiz and a journal check on Thursday. Yes. Okay. Okay. No. So we actually subtracted one here. Because if we make that negative 30, we actually went down by 1. So our compensatory action to compensate is to add 1. We did that first. That was how we did it originally. If you're adding the negatives with each other, that's how we did it right here. Were you just not paying attention? Okay, so when you said the rounding thing, I assumed you were rounding because 60 would work with 30. Because that's dangerous if you think about it. Well, dangerous is relative, right? How much can you remember as you're working? But I like it. I like it. What's up? Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for this rogue tile. I appreciate that. I don't know where it goes though. I don't know which bag it went in. So, well, I know, but I don't know which bag it was. Whatever. Crisis. We'll figure it out later. One of these days. Yeah.